And welcome to CBN4's Primetime News Package for this evening. I am your presenter, Alian Christopher. First up tonight, the project officer in the Office of the Disaster Management, Donaldson Frederick, believes that with the increased number of disasters and man-made events, building resilience has become a crucial and integral part of the ODM's general framework. Frederick stated that in order to ensure that communities are better prepared for these uncertainties, training and exercise are essential for effective disaster management. He said these exercises may range from tabletop exercises, computer modeling exercises, and full-scale exercises.
So in doing so, we already have a structure in place. The structure is already in place. And so what we need to do is to reevaluate the present status of the structure and look at sort of energizing the people in having them get interest, knowledge and skills in order to effect the response aspect after a disaster. So we're looking at having the structures in place. One, the disaster committees is the fundamental, down at the community level. Have them structured, have the disaster committees with the subcommittees responsible for transportation, responsible for rescue, responsible for evacuation. These are critical elements in a disaster committee.
He also notes that computer modeling has become very important in today's day and age.
With the district development officer, which falls under local government, and from local government is the Office of Disaster Management. So the structure is already in place. We just need to revitalize the people's interests and get the communities back active in order to one is our topography and the distance of communities. The communities are very distant, and based on our topography you find access to these areas are sometimes a challenge. You have persons from
the project officer said the ODM intends to strategically look at everyone in these exercises and take into consideration hazards in the disaster management cycle. A well-known tourist hotspot located in the community of Meru is making preparations for the limited cruise season as of January 2018. As it stands, Cornish Beach Bar is one of the most popular tourist spots in Meru. Alfonso Wayland, a resident of Meru and the man currently behind the bar, says that Cornish Beach Bar is indeed grateful that some cruise ships are arriving early next year.
In that, I would say the beach, we did a lot of work in getting the beach prepared for the season, like in terms of cleaning up. So that is one of the most important things that happened so far, because when the visitors come in, they need a place to really lie down to get a little sun and things. Now if you observe, I am putting a few cabanas, trash houses, made out of coconut leaves and local wood, so I started putting them up. Now I still have more work to do. The other thing is to get cold drinks going. There are a few generators in any village. We ourselves working on ours, it's still at the custom, so maybe at the end of the week we should have a generator. So people are prepared. We are prepared ready for January, obviously. Yeah, and I don't think it will be too much of a problem with people coming here and get service, like cold drinks, eats, and the beach, because the beach is clean.
Well, and that means that it was quite a task to clean up the beachfront properly. He said it took over 2 weeks to clean up the beach and remove huge logs that were sitting on the beach. According to Wayland, maintenance of the beach is what is necessary to conduct business.
I have to clean my section to go, but before that we were cleaning the beach from end to end. But because the project is on a hold, so everybody has to clean, their section. But before that, the government was paying to do the cleanup.
Whelan stated that he is optimistic that next year's cruise season will be better. He says that he is thankful that despite Hurricane Maria, there will be some cruise activity. And also making our headlines, Davis George, a farmer who is responsible for the Isaiah Thomas Secondary School's garden plot, has emphasized the need for more practicals to be included in the school's agricultural subject. George said that Hurricane Maria should have taught Dominicans the importance of farmers and farming activity. He noted that persons have the mentality that farming is a poor man's work and has led the youth being uninterested in farming, something that he considers vital towards Dominica's economy.
That, and I was one of the men that believed that they should have used me more to help the children in those secondary schools, as I have the qualifications. Because I went to Miami, I went to Canada on the farm, and within a year I was one of the #1 farm worker in the Caribbean. The second year the bossman put me as trainer and bossman in.
He noted that while the students need to learn about agriculture, there should be greater emphasis on the practical aspect of the subject. George mentioned that agriculture is the subject in which students should be exposed to and work and learn about farming.
Watch it, but it's not a poor man thing, because if you live with them, then you can have anything to do. And if you don't go back into agriculture, what would happen in Maria? A lot of food gets so expensive because of the damage we get, and we have to wait on people overseas to send things well. Yeah, we could have feed them. We have to develop now to feed ourselves back.
He explained that parents need to take a greater interest in the agriculture sector so that they may be able to teach their young ones. And stay tuned for more local news highlights after this break. And welcome back to CBN4's Primetime News. Residents of Colliho continue to voice their concerns about the need for a wall constructed along the Colliho riverbank, which they believe will alleviate the problem of flooding which they are currently facing. The community of Colliho suffered severe flooding from Tropical Storm Erica back in 2015 and was further damaged by Hurricane Maria. Several houses have been abandoned and deemed unsafe. According to a resident, Edward Cobbett, some villagers are terrified when there is heavy rainfall. Cobbett believes that the issue of flooding in Colliho should be dealt with and dealt with urgently. Meantime, another resident of Colliho who goes by the name of Hillier expresses similar concerns. Hillier noted that he understands the construction of a massive wall on the riverbank is costly and time-consuming. Therefore, he urges the villagers and members of the government to start constructing the wall in areas that are more vulnerable to flooding.
People said that the river always passes the village. You have to run and do something by the river. You see what I mean? So it means that we need the river wall to be done. If you can do the most dangerous part in the village, near the water passage to come in the village, we will very appreciate that. Because I was thinking of if people will make a collection and do something in the river for the time, near the water passage to come in the village. You don't have to wait for government because government have a lot of their account. It's not only the police are the only village they have to do something on the river. All village affected by the river need a wall too. So if we can help ourselves, I will appreciate that.
Hillier admits that while some persons are in need of evacuation, he believes that majority of the persons will choose to remain in Colliho. According to him, the best alternative to curbing this problem of flooding in Colliho is the construction of the river wall. Donald Bercasio, an international strategic brand management consultant, says that small businesses should have an organization that is ready to compete in the marketplace. During an interview with CBN4, Bercasio encouraged small businesses owners to think big.
Well, for me, basically, small businesses need to, number one, organize themselves for success, right? So meaning they have to have an organization that's really ready to compete in the marketplace, and at the same time ready to serve the customer in the best way possible. So basically, we have to look into the level of customer service, right? The level of managerial, for example, expertise of those who are leading the small businesses. And for me, I encourage them to think big, you know, to think big, to think perhaps even beyond Dominica, and try to become some sort of a really successful regional brand, for example, because that's really my field. I help small businesses start their own strategic branding program, which is basically all about building, a good brand. So when I say brand, it's not just about the logo, but it's really about the overall image of the company and the overall positive feeling a particular brand name or a particular logo or a particular company creates towards the customer.
Bercasio, who has been working alongside small businesses post-Hurricane Maria, says that a lack of confidence is one of the greatest challenges he has noticed.
Well, you know, there are a lot of challenges right now post-Maria, right? But I think one of the shall I say, most striking for me is basically the confidence level or the psychological aspects of a lot of entrepreneurs after Maria. So because, well, obviously there's like a feeling of uncertainty. You know, some of them are unsure if they still want to continue, or you know, if there's a bright future for them. So what I do is to encourage them, to try to inspire them, and to tell them that, you know, we can still rebuild. Dominica is strong. We are a resilient people. We can still rebuild, and business people like you has to be at the forefront of this, you know, of this movement leading our people towards normalcy, and in fact leading them to even some sort of pre-Maria environment or confidence level. So for me, that's one of the biggest issues I'm facing. Their confidence level, their confidence, right, and their their ability to think big.
Bocasio indicated that as a consultant, he's not only focused on the processes or the marketing strategies, but he also deals with the persons behind the businesses. And also in the news, Director of Telecoms in the Ministry of Information, Science, Telecommunication and Technology, Bennett Thomas, is challenging persons in the media to move one step ahead and invest in small VSATs. Thomas indicated that VSAT and satellite phones would be a necessity in case another megastorm like Maria hits Dominica.
But I want to challenge you to move ahead, because the Prime Minister has said that he wants this country to be the first climate-resistant, resilient country. That means also I incorporate the fact that you should now be looking at having small VSATs, because if you're in an area where we now have the kind of disaster we have in Dominica, when you have to depend you have to go out into the meat of things in the Carrick-High territory, down Soufriere. You have to walk, you have to have your camera, and you should have a VSAT with you, a small dish, and you can shoot out right out to the world. Now, if I give you a laptop, that's fine. We're thankful for the laptop, but the battery will go dead after a time. You cannot use the laptop anymore. Your cell phone will go dead because the network will be down. So then, how are you going to report? So you need satellite phones. I want to challenge you to get satellite phones now, because in the new environment, you need satellite phone, and you can pass data, you can speak to anybody overseas, and that kind of thing. And you are the reporters, you are the first to send out the information.
The Director of Telecoms further stated that the press is key. He urged the media personnel to continue to report on the factual issues rather than fake news. And Prime Minister of Dominica, Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, has sought to bring to light and clarify criticisms made in relation to the housing contract awarded to a Barbadian firm. Speaking at a press conference earlier today, the Prime Minister laid out the principal claims made as it relates to the actual contract that the government of Dominica has entered into.
Follows. 1. The contract awarded is for the importation of 1,000 prefabricated homes. 2. The contract awarded deprives Dominicans of a significant opportunity for employment. 3. The contract awarded deprives Dominicans of a significant opportunity to receive training in key areas across the construction sector, which is important for the growth of the sector and the development of young people and to our resilience to future natural disasters. 4. The contract awarded deprives Dominicans the ability to supply the raw materials such as sand and stone used in the manufacture of homes, as well as other materials and supplies used in the construction of homes. 5. The Physical Planning Division has not approved the construction of the 1,000 homes. 6. No information as to the ability of the proposed homes to withstand hurricanes and other natural disasters.
In the government's response to the criticisms made on the housing contract, Skerrit said the contract is for the initial importation of 20 homes and not 1,000 homes.
These homes will be in Dominica very shortly, and from start to finish will have taken just 2 months to construct, install and complete. The homes are not prefabricated homes. They are precast, pre-stressed concrete homes built specifically to meet the seismic and wind requirements of our region, and will offer a safe and attractive home to Dominicans, with future benefits which will be outlined at the appropriate time, but that have been critiqued and gone over with the Ministry of Housing and the technical personnel. 2. Upon the arrival of these homes in Dominica, there will be an immediate benefit to the economy through port fees, hauler fees, crane and equipment rentals, and persons working on the various aspects of the construction. In addition, 50 Dominicans have already been employed to help construct these 20 homes and to work on the completion of all the finishings in these homes.
In the Prime Minister's third point, he said, following the arrival of the initial 20 homes, the contractor will be establishing a purpose-built precast concrete plant in Dominica to meet the required urgent and long-term housing needs of Dominica, as well as to assist with the building of other infrastructures needs for the public and private sectors. The fourth point related to Dominicans earning jobs at the purpose-built precast concrete plants.
There'll be a handful, meaning 5 or less foreign skilled labor employed in the plant, and all other employees will be Dominicans. 5. This contract will offer Dominicans a unique opportunity to gain skills across sectors such as electrical engineering, plumbing, welding, steel bending, specialty fabrication works, as well as machine operators and other similar skilled and unskilled labor. 6. This contract will allow us to train Dominicans to ensure that we have a skilled construction sector. And if we must face another hurricane or natural disaster, we can do so knowing we have a labor force which can help us to rebuild once more.
All materials which can be sourced locally will be sourced here in Dominica, the Prime Minister said in his 7th point, stating that this has been a key condition of the contract from the start and all parties are committed to ensuring this goal. It further mentioned that the homes constructed here in the plant will be built according to a master plan which will take into account the locations where the homes are needed, the infrastructure that these homes will need, and in accordance with the highest seismic and wind safety requirements in the region. Skerrit said in total 1,000 homes will be built in order to meet the urgent needs of Dominicans, and these homes will be built here in Dominica and by Dominicans using Dominica's raw materials and supplies. And that takes us to the end of the Primetime News package. If you've missed any of the stories, you can catch up on CBN4.com or on our Facebook page. Until our next broadcast, I am Alan Christopher saying thank you for watching.